round number 3 of the RLH GT3 Championship. Took us to Mount Panorama in Bappo. So Morgan on pole, but once again, another brilliant start for Bruma on the run down towards Hell Corner. It was a hellish start for SMJT and Mejia, making contact down at turn 1 and causing a bit of chaos further back, with Fretty ultimately losing out on the outside down into turn number 1. Morgan, though, having a run at Bruma down towards Corey Ben, trying to look for a move on the outside, but the Ferrari just about having enough pace to keep ahead down in towards the second corner of the lap. A little bit further back, Timmy holding on to P5, but it's Eddie down the inside, making contact with Skipper. A little bit too late on the brake with the Irish driver, and coming back onto the track, SMT and Fretty trying to pick their way through some of the AM drivers after that little bit of a collision down at Corey's Bend. SMT moving himself into 11th, while Fretty in P14. A couple of corners up the road, SMT struggled to get past Skipper, who sort of shut the door on him. Mejia then allowed to go up the inside and ahead into P11. Mejia, though, was on a little bit of charge himself, making a real push through the field after that contact on lap 1, getting ahead of Skipper a couple of corners later after we saw that instant good move at the end of the dipper. A little bit later on, onto lap 2 as they ran onto Corey Bent. Mejia slotting ahead of Phil to go up into P9. And now chasing after Ash Wilson, who's promoted to the pro group after dominating the AM with 2 back-to-back hat-tricks in the first 2 rounds. Infamous just a little bit up the road. Was Ash Wilson making a small mistake as they went up towards the cutting, but further ahead, Shorts pressuring Bruma. That actually allowed Mejia ahead of Ash Wilson. But Shorts pressuring Bruma into a little bit of mistake as they got towards the top of the circuit. A little bit too tight, pushed him out too wide and getting onto the dirt. Spinning and collecting the roll centre car, allowing both N-Track drivers ahead and making it a 1-2 for N-Track. A little bit further back, Fretty and Phil were duelling away on lap number 4. Fretty going down the inside at Quarry Ben, gaining bragging rights in that little battle between them, as they now drove up into the top of the circuit, with Mejia managing to get ahead of Ash Wilson as well in the process. Shorts made his first pit stop at the end of lap number 5. First driver to sort of pull the trigger on the pit stop phase, making an undercut on the top 2 drivers in front, suggesting he was maybe going for a bit aggressive on the strategy. SMGT getting ahead of the newly promoted Ash Wilson as they went down towards Quarry Ben. That move being sealed around the outside. Great move from the championship leader. Of course, won both races in the first 2 rounds. And as both N-Track drivers came into the pit lane, Shorts got promoted into lead. He started to put the hammer down with the fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 1.2 for the driver in the Toyota, as he ran off to start lap number 8. SMT and Fretty dueling away on later on in lap 8. Fretty holding the position as they ran down towards the chase, and SMT still pressuring the back of the roll centre car. And a great battle between these two, extended around about sort of a lap and a half, with it getting sort of all sorted here. As SMT getting a much better exit as they come out of Murray's corner and down towards Hell's corner at turn 1. SMT having the inside line, having the high ground, and moving himself up into P8 in this race. Infamous and Phil had a long battle throughout this race. Bit of a moment there for the Jaguar car, allowing Phil to get alongside and ahead as they ran down the mountain straight towards turn number 2. And Infamous, though, having good pace in that Jaguar, looking to maybe make a move down the inside, but Phil just about holding ahead, using the outside line to full effect. And a great defensive driving there from Phil, and a good battle between both of them throughout this race. Brendan Bruma fighting away on lap 10. Bruma going down the inside, using that Ferrari power to get ahead. But it was a little bit wayward coming out of the chase, and he decided to come into pit lane for a fresh set of tyres on that lap. The following lap later, it was a reverse change. Bruma under attack from one of the team default drivers, and SMT moving up into P4 ahead of the Ferrari. And it was Bruma's turn to be a little bit slidey coming out of the chase, and he decides to come into the pit lane at the end of that lap. Team default joint we're top of the Constructors' Championship going into this race, and now not quite so, with Endra having good performance. However, though, Aries a little bit wayward coming out of that final chicane, and well, clipping the wall on the inside. Luckily, his teammate managed to negotiate that one without any particular troubles, but Aries, crucially, having that mistake, and it meant that Morgan only had to negotiate one of the N-Track drivers on his route to victory, and that's exactly what he did. It's sort of a bit of a reminder, a bit of a look back to the last race we had around Bathurst in the GT3, and Morgan getting the better of some of his rivals and getting into the lead right near the end, and Wesley having to settle for P2 in this one, as Morgan went into the lead and drove off from there. Bruma under attack on this final lap, and it was a bit of a flashback for Bruma to the first lap as he made a small mistake at the top of the circuit, and that allowing him to lose the position there to Ash Wilson, who moves up in a P6. A good result for Ash Wilson, first race as sort of a fully official pro driver, but things went from bad to worse, and Bruma has another mode for him, forcing him into a bit of a spin. Allows Brent to make a nice easy move up into P7, and he takes the hat-trick in the AM Series to win fastest lap and pole position. Phil, though, running out of fuel right at the end, allowed Infamous Pass to take that 10th spot, and Phil trying towards the line, but it was Morgan who takes the 25 points. A great win for him. I believe back-to-back wins at Bathurst and GT Sport. I don't think we raced there in the Super Formula, but it was Wesley who took second, Aries in third, SMT in fourth, Mahia fifth, Ash Wilson sixth, Brent takes the AM win in seventh, Bruma eighth, Fretty ninth, Infamous 10th, Phil 11th, 12th was Timmy, 13th Eddie, 14th was Skipper.